What's going on, you fool? You fools? This is Caroline Colbert, English voice actor for Killer B and Naruto Shippuden and Boruto, among other things. Yo, check out this amazing unboxing from BAM Collectibles. Yo say ho! Shout out to all the fans. Love you. Bye.
Yes, say ho!
Hey everybody, BAM Collectibles here, back for another statue unboxing review for you. I said statue, but I do mean statues. We're going to be doing two today. They're going to be complementing each other very well. The first one here is going to be Tsume's Killer Bee statue. It has Hachibi in it as well, or 8 tails. And this is one of my oldest statues that I've owned for a very long time, and it is one of my nearest and dearest. It'll be in the collection for a very long time. First off, we're going to see these tails sprouting up from the back with the water shooting out of the sides. Underneath the statue, you will see the name of the statue and all the creation, Tsume's information there, and 8 different holes there where these tails attach in a very different way. I've never seen engineering like this on any other statue, but since I've had this piece for a solid 4 to 5 years now, I have to say there's been no issues with it, so they did something extremely right. You'll notice there are only 7 tails. Here is the 8th. Very awesome paint job. You can see that Tsume was very intentional about making the darker parts a more flatter tone, and all the different suction cups on there have a glossier tone to them, but really cool sculpting overall. You can see a little bit of folding inside the center there, and here is the end. Normally we see a steel rod in there, but this is actually something that you can screw a nut into, and so it has those threads in there instead of just a standard steel rod. So it's great. It helps reinforce the tentacle, but also we can attach it with that. I'll lift it up and we'll see how you just stick that through there, and then I have to expedite screwing in this. I did decide to leave the other 7 in because who wants to watch me do that over and over again? But it's incredible, all 8 tails assembled, and how they're just coming from outside of the water there. Oh my gosh, this thing is so heavy. It's all one giant piece together. You can see here on the bottom that huge notch that is cut out. We have some felt there so nothing scratches or scrapes, resin to resin. Because he's part bull, we'll see a lot of different muscle definition all throughout there. His eyes have always been extremely interesting. Then we have the right horn there that was broken off. Now, comment below who broke his horn, who he remembers, who broke that horn. Flipping this around to the side, we will see the complete horn. They did an awesome job with adding a little bit of black all throughout those areas, crevices, to bring out the details. And then look at them teeth, right? Those chiclet looking teeth. They are so perfect all the way around. That's been something that's always kind of creeped me out, the fact of how perfectly straight those are. On the back, we will see an indent there. That's where one of B's foot is going to rest, and his other foot is going to key into that slot there so he can stand. No joke, this thing is like 20 to 25 pounds. It's super solid, and there's also a magnet on the bottom, so when you stick it on, it does attach even more secure. Now, when you attach it, there are some crevices that are shown, and if you look really closely, it looks kind of odd. So to bridge the gap between showing those crevices, they added these extra water pieces that you can fit in on the sides. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about here. It's like seam lines are being shown, and to hide those, I will slip these in. Till this day, I'm amazed that this statue has really stood the test of time, right? It's still extremely relevant. It doesn't look old, and nobody has really taken a whack at Killer B. It's almost like Tsume did their thing once and done and fought off anybody who even wanted to try to do something different. Killer B himself was sculpted in multiple different pieces. I'm not going to go over every single one too much in detail because this is an older statue. Many of you have probably seen it, but we still will do a quick overview. We'll see that notch on his foot there that'll help him key into place. The rope here in the back, the red rope, was sculpted separately, has a magnet on there as well as all his swords and his sword holder. That was definitely one of the coolest things about his fight versus Sasuke, is getting to see him wield all the swords and how he went about it. Another thing that's cool is getting to see him in the Naruto Storm games as well, because you get a closer look at that fighting style come alive. On his shoulder, there's a kanji. I know what it says. What do you think it says? His hand is in that classic Spider-Man pose, like he's about to spit some webs out. On the back, there's a notch. We're going to be installing something there. But before we do need to remove a few pieces. His hair was sculpted separately, as well as that white piece of scarf that we see on him. So let's go ahead and get those taken off. We also need to remove the swords on the back as well to get this installed. But this thing's incredible. So this is what makes the statue feel even more dynamic. So 8 tails popping out of the water gives it that feeling enough. But we have a notch here with a metal rod. And I think there is some kind of rod that goes all throughout this as well, because it stays perfectly sturdy, and it has over time, but this attaches back here. Again, gives a nice dynamic feel to be as if, you know, Eight Tails is just being summoned, especially the way that it's kind of coming out of his foot. It's like it's either forming around him or he's about to completely transform into him. For me personally, I think this will always be my favorite Tsume statue that they have ever released. They do have one of Naruto and Kurama that they're releasing in the near future. I can't wait to add that to my collection. It's actually a more kind of precious one, but what we have here is the certificate of authenticity. Each one comes with it. This product is a licensed product, and it is authentic, not a bootleg version of it. We'll see here is the seal there, Cyril's name, the owner, and then just a cool authenticity certificate to have. It also came with an art piece as well, which is kind of like a line art of Killer B. Looks pretty cool in that classic pose. Now, what we have here is their standard steel plate that shows the authenticity. It says Jinchuriki of Hachibi, Killer B, the Tsume logo, and that is that. We're going to be jumping in to the statue that is newer, that's going to be complementing this amazing statue. This is a statue of none other than Sasuke donning the Akatsuki robes. We have here the base for Up Arts Sasuke. Only 440 made, and we'll see that nice silhouette of the statue on the bottom there, as well as some of those pads that help it from sliding across the smoother surfaces. And then with all the holes and crevices all throughout here, you will see later a bunch of effects are going to be added to this base to really bring it to life and give it some character. Also, the tone that was used to paint all over the rock gives it a great realistic feel. Actually, it's not too realistic, right? We always want things to look like it jumped out of the anime, so not too realistic, but it looks like a rock, right? It looks like a real rock. Then you'll see this is one of many dust or cloud-looking particles that is attached with a notch and a small magnet inside. I remember how excited I was when this went up for pre-order, because we don't have any statues out there that showcase Sasuke during that brief time that he was wearing the Akatsuki robes. It's pretty cool that they sculpted the sheath of the sword so that it can be on the base of the statue. It's off here to the side, and I'll show you one more of these dust cloud particle effects. This one does not have a magnet. Instead, it has a longer notch that just slides right in and allows it to sit there. As a little Easter egg, they also included a hidden Cloud Village headband here. Now, I believe B's was white colored and not black, so I'm not sure if this is representing other shinobi that they might have busted up getting into the village, but it has a hole on the side there for this kunai that's going to basically stab to the headband, and then that kunai is also going to stab into a piece of the rock, so it freely, is hanging in there. There's no magnets or that keep it in place, it's just friction of sticking it into the rock. With that installed, we'll go ahead and take a look at the last large cloud piece that's going to be installed. Now that I think about it, I'm calling them cloud or dust particles. I think these are more paying respect or homage to the fact that they are in the hidden Cloud Village, so it really does kind of add more character to what's going on in the base here. Other than Sasuke being in this outfit, one of the other things I love about this statue is his pose and what they chose here. It actually reminds me of the pose that Itachi had after he attacked the village. I mean, not exactly, because I guess he was, sitting on top of a post, but it just reminds me of that pose that we don't ever see much in statues. To install him onto the base, there are 2 notches on the feet, 1 steel rod there, and if you will notice, this piece of the rope here did come broke, unfortunately, but it was a very clean break, so I added some glue and put it back on there. That's the thing about resin statues, they're very fragile. It happens. Just fix it. I'm going to get a little bit of purple paint, and I'll dab it in there at some point, and it'll look good as new here. We have the notch there in the center of the waist, also the magnet, and then really cool paint shading all throughout the back part of that outfit. With that showcase, we'll go ahead and install this on the base and go over the top part that is one giant piece. With that lower half perched up on the rock, we'll bring in the robe here. Now, this was extremely dynamically sculpted, right? It reminds me actually how well this is going to be complementing Killer B sitting next to him. I'm extremely amazed that somebody actually pulled off being able to sculpt this thing as one large piece. Whoever was the 3D artist that did this, super impressive, how they're able to make it look like it was flowing, as if he's, just landed on the rock and the robe is kind of trying to catch up with his feet. I'm curious, in the comment section below, let me know, what is one of your favorite outfits that Sasuke wore? My gosh, if there was any character that wore so many different ones, it's him. For me personally, I'm going to say it was the Chunin exams from the original Naruto series, where it was mostly like a black jumpsuit almost, had some belts on his arms. But that was one of my favorite ones. What was yours? In comes the head sculpt. Now this looks extremely cold, intense, focused, right? When he landed in the village hidden in the clouds, he had a mission, a purpose, something he set out to do. And so I think the face really captures that. We'll see the head sculpt also, or at least the hair was sculpted very nicely. On the back, there are spikes that are missing. That's because it's going to be resting up against the Akatsuki robe. On the bottom is the magnet that's going to allow him to attach to that neck portion as well. When it comes to the way that his head is positioned or the angle of it, it is sitting very low as if he's looking down. So it should be showcased when it's higher up, like higher up on a display case shelf. But I actually had an idea because I plan on showcasing him on a medium level shelf. I have these little magnets that I bought a long time ago. I got them, I think, at Lowe's or Home Depot. And they're little, round, small, strong magnets. Even though they are small, they are actually too large to fit into where the head pegs in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these off, and my intention is to actually hit it with a hammer just very lightly and crack it to where I can make it look like a half portion, which is what I did here. So it's only half the size of it. And what my goal is to stick it on the bottom of Sasuke's neck, which hopefully it'll magnetize onto the neck area. And when it does, it'll lift his head up just a little bit to the angle that I'm looking for to have it displayed on more of a mid-tier section shelf. By no means does this statue need this kind of modification. This is just a personal preference that I had, so I'm trying it out to see if it works. And of course, because I already pre-tested it out beforehand, it does. It lifts it up to that angle that I'm going to want when I do have it showcased in my display case. Both hands were sculpted separately, and the first is going to be coming in. That's allowing him to brace that landing on top of the rock, and it'll be resting there on the bottom. Again, it has a magnet on the top portion of it that allow it to connect to the arm. And then for the second hand, he'll be holding his sword. You can see the gape or the little hole in there that allow the sword to just slip in. He will be holding this in more of a reverse grip, which is probably one of the coolest ways you can hold a sword, or I know that was his kind of preference from time to time. It is made of resin, so it's extremely fragile. Sometimes they make them of steel or aluminum, but his is going to be made of that. Also included is some Chidori streams that's going to be flowing from his body, which is it's a nice touch, right? It's one of those things that statue companies do that as I always say, put the sprinkles on the icing of the cake and make it look that much better. We'll see two different notches. That one connects to the body, and the other one will allow for another piece to attach. And here we have the second piece here. This one doesn't have any notches, just on one of the tips there. It will allow it to connect to the other piece of Chidori that's flowing throughout there. Again, really cool touch that they added to give this statue even more character and showcase one of Sasuke's primary abilities. At first, it does have a little bit of a lean to it, so it's a little thing you have to kind of play around with and get it to the right positioning so that gravity can hold it into place. I'll go ahead and get that fixed up right now. I'm not someone who usually likes statues that are vertical, so what that means is it really sits a lot taller, it doesn't go wide. But this one is different, right? So because I primarily plan on using this as an accent piece for Killer Bee, it's going to be great. Again, the angle of that magnet kind of adding to it, I think, helped it out a little bit for where I'm going to be displaying it. Love the Chidori coming up the side there. The base just works so great. Now that we have Sasuke pretty much showcased, we're going to bust open 2 packs of Naruto CCG cards so we can take a look and see what we get. I have to say, overall, I'm really enjoying doing this every single video. It kind of adds a little bit of extra thing that I look forward to. I don't open these up, daily by myself, but I can open them up with everybody here. Good old Baki. We have our foil card there, Capture. And we have Sakura, Sasuke, Explosive Blade, Byakugan, and Gen Aburami. Of course, Baby Krama's got to sneak in the video somewhere. I can see him back there in the back left corner. Detonating Clay Eagle, Chase. This card looks hilarious. Look at Shikamaru and Choji. And Sakura again. There's Sasuke again. Jeez, all these duplicates. Byakugan, and there's our rare for the pack substitution by Puppet. So we didn't pull a super rare today, but I got you, boo. All right, we're going to be pulling in my super rare card of Sasuke wearing this very outfit. This is a first edition, as you see in the top left corner, and I wanted to showcase this to you because I have special plans for this one. So let me bring in, this is one of my harder acrylic plastic cases, which if you ever want to find supplies like this, please visit my Amazon store in the description. And what I'll be doing is I actually plan to put this card inside of this case, and we're going to be displaying it next to the actual statue. Don't mind me, just put that on the wrong way. And as well as having this in this awesome case, I also was able to pick up some stands, which I want to showcase to you. You know, I'll have those in the link there as well. And you put this on here and you can angle it any way that you need to. And because this doesn't have an addition size with this statue, it kind of goes perfectly as well, accenting it. I've mentioned it in other videos. I plan to accent a lot of my statues with cards in the future, but here's how they look side by side. Incredible. I'm so excited to have these two together. I hope you did enjoy this video and being able to see, you know, I'm so happy to be able to showcase Killer Bee finally. So hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video, everybody. As always, do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.